Dr. Paul Cox, a leading botanist, was studying a large pristine rainforest on the island nation of Samoa in the South Pacific. He was living in a small village at the time when the government declared that the villagers would have to come up with the funds to build a better school or all the teachers would be removed. Their village, like many such island villages, only had a per capita annual income of $100. Their only alternative was to sell the logging rights to their rainforest. That is when Dr. Cox offered to raise the money for the school if the villagers would agree to protect their 30,000-acre rainforest. The agreement was signed, the school was built, and the rainforest was saved. Thus, Seacology was born out of what has become our typical win-win deal that benefits the environment as well as the quality of life of islanders. This is critically important as the vast majority of species extinctions take place on islands. The vast majority of plant and animal species extinctions in recorded history were located on islands. Seacology's objective is quite simple: to protect threatened ecosystems and species on islands across the globe. Islands are home to immense biodiversity, but today they are faced with unprecedented challenges, including species loss, habitat destruction, and climate change. They contain many endemic species, and in the last 400 years, over half of all animal extinctions have taken place on islands. Seacology's projects are located on hundreds of islands in over 45 countries throughout the world. While this is impressive, the crisis we are dealing with is great, and more work needs to be done to conserve the world's islands. Our model has proven to be effective again and again and again. Just in the past year, we have protected 2,718 acres of rainforest in Papua New Guinea in exchange for a new classroom building, and 180 acres of mangrove wetland in Cebu province of the Philippines in exchange for a new boardwalk and viewing deck to promote sustainable tourism, and partnered with other groups to support over 99,000 acres of marine protected area in Raja Ampat, Indonesia, in exchange for a new community center. Did you know there are over 1 million islands in the world? That is why Seacology now needs the resources to hire part-time field representatives and to launch more island conservation projects. Our impact is already felt around the globe, but since our operations are scalable, we could do so much more with a relatively modest investment of funds. Currently, we are launching 20 projects per year, but with increased financial support, we could do 100 or more projects a year. Seacology has successfully leveraged win-win trade-offs where we provide something tangible that an island village requests, such as a community center or a solar energy system, in exchange for the establishment of terrestrial and marine reserves. Many people look at a school and think of the important role it plays in the education of village children. Seacology looks at the same village and thinks about how greatly it would benefit from a school and from preserved natural resources as well. We create an exchange with the community that is win-win for everyone involved, and we have successfully used this leverage hundreds of times to the benefit of island communities and marine conservation. There are many things that make Seacology particularly effective. Seacology operates by a win-win model of providing island villages with something tangible they need in exchange for the establishment of a forest or ocean reserve. Thus, we are implementing deals, not charity. Seacology successfully relies on volunteers to supplement the skilled trades when constructing buildings or freshwater delivery systems on remote islands. Believe it or not, our average project cost to construct a kindergarten and establish a marine or forest reserve is only $30,000. The fact that our projects are built by local volunteers not only saves money, but it gives ownership of the project to the islanders rather than making it merely a gift. We are working on islands where the low cost of living keeps our expenses way below what similar work costs in the U.S. Our field representatives all live and work on the islands they represent, and most were born and raised there. Knowing the local customs and language, they are able to clearly identify the needs of the local communities and design our projects in the ways that will be most effective. We have stayed focused on our mission, and we only work on islands. Seacology is a very metric-oriented organization. Our success is measured by how many acres of terrestrial and ocean habitat we have saved. We are proud to say that figure is already 2 million acres saved. We also carefully monitor another metric, the size of our full-time staff. Did you know that we have over 220 projects in over 45 nations throughout the world? And yet, we currently have only 7 full-time staff. This is quite an accomplishment given the international nature of our work. We are proud that we have kept this number so low. What does it mean to protect an island rainforest or coral reef? Sometimes an organization will establish a protected area, but all that truly changes is the words on a map. Seacology's style is different. Our field representatives meet directly with the local community who live near the area we'd like to protect and discuss which protections they consider feasible. Most of our protected areas are declared no-take, meaning that no hunting, fishing, logging, or other extractive processes are allowed in them. Our agreements also typically include enforcement measures. Sometimes a village will create a group of park rangers to monitor the reserve. Sometimes they will specify the punishments for anyone caught breaking the regulations. In some instances, a community is willing to collaborate with us, but requests permission to continue small-scale harvesting of natural resources for sustenance only. In these cases, we work together to find a compromise that is acceptable to everyone. We don't want our conservation to come at the expense of a small community who loses their food source. And we don't want our protected areas to be meaningless so-called paper parks. By working directly with those most involved, we can ensure that our projects truly are win-win. Since Seacology's impact is so global, with projects on over 120 islands in over 45 nations around the world, many assume that we are a large organization with many staff members. In fact, we accomplish all this with only 7 full-time staff. Our small team is dedicated to making sure each project is designed and implemented as effectively as possible, ensuring that our supporters get the biggest bang for their buck. These staff members are assisted by an excellent group of field representatives, island experts who work for us part-time to identify and monitor projects. It is these field representatives who help us to ensure projects are appropriate for a given region or community, and who provide regular updates on each and every project. The accomplishment we are most proud of is the sheer number of islands we've already been able to protect. Even with our limited resources, we have over 200 island projects in over 45 nations around the world, protecting nearly 2 million acres of coral reef, rainforest, and other island habitat. Each of our projects is important, and there are many terrific examples. Here are a couple. Tavolo, Papua New Guinea is a coastal village with many coral reefs. Although part of the area is protected by the national government, the local community wanted to extend the protected areas to include more of the reefs and surrounding ocean. Seacology partnered with Tavolo to bring this vision to fruition. Our project conserves 988 acres of marine area near Tavolo, which was clearly demarcated by the community. In exchange for this conservation, Seacology funded the village's first health clinic. Previously, the nearest medical center was a day's walk away. Now the Tavolo community has a health clinic and a newly created marine protected area. Another example can be found in Minicoy, India. Minicoy is part of India's Lakshadweep archipelago, a remote region with distinct local culture. Lakshadweep has a vibrant ecosystem including mangrove swamps, which are home to many important species. Additionally, they provide critical protection against flooding and pollution. Seacology's project in Minicoy funded a new cultural heritage museum, where the community is showcasing some of their unique cultural artifacts. The museum is a new incentive for ecotourism, an important and sustainable source of income for many island communities. In exchange for Seacology's funding, Minicoy is protecting 2,471 acres of mangrove swamp and a nearby lagoon. This area is now clearly demarcated, and community members enforce its protection. I could go on with another 220 examples of successful accomplishments like these. Win-win partnerships that protect island environments and species and support the local community. All are described on our website seacology.org, which also includes photos of our projects. Many islands are incredibly remote. Some take days to reach by boat. The logistical challenges of communicating, transporting materials, and traveling to monitor the project can be quite difficult. This is not the same as your local conservation group that can visit a nearby park to check on progress. Our work is literally in every corner of the globe, encompassing many cultures and many languages. However, it is this same isolation that makes the ecosystem of remote islands so unique, so special, and so critically important to preserve. With additional resources, Seacology would expand our global presence and increase the number of projects we fund each year. Our easily replicable model means that with just a modest increase in staff size, we could significantly increase our reach. Additional resources would fund more field representatives and program staff positions, which would allow us to expand our geographic scope to include more of Africa, South America, and other regions. Resources for additional program management staff would also help our representatives to oversee the project implementation process, ensuring that projects are designed and carried out as efficiently as possible. One newspaper headline called Seacology the best environmental organization you've never heard of. We'd like to use an infusion of resources to make the public more aware of the extinction crisis on islands and Seacology's great work to combat this. Modest investments in marketing, advertising, and fundraising efforts would help us reach the many people around the world who care about islands, endangered species, indigenous cultures, and the myriad other issues that Seacology's work addresses. Expanding our reach in this way would not only educate the public about the importance of preserving islands, but also create a wider community of supporters to help us protect even more islands in the future. Our gap is simple: islands. There are more than 1 million islands around the world, and almost all of them are home to threatened habitats and species. Islands face unique and devastating challenges, and protecting these important places is vital for the health of our entire planet. As we continue to grow and increase our reach, we can fill even more of these needs on islands worldwide.